One of my favorite things to do is go to locals and play garbage decks because I got nothing better to do. Hey, Nick from 9cardTCG, and today I have some gameplay from this past weekend. I went to locals and I played a deck that personally I love. It's not very good, but I absolutely love it. It's a single strike Lugia deck. Yes, I probably showed it on the channel at some point, but you get to actually see some gameplay today. So thank you very much to everybody at Illustrious Cards Games for letting me, for hosting the tournament and letting me record and put it up on YouTube. I really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed already, do me a favor, if you're not already, subscribe. It's Monday. It's a Monday morning, and who wants to be doing this on a Monday? I don't, but here we are. Subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff tells YouTube this is a good channel and other people should watch it. We're gonna go ahead and check out some voiced over gameplay from this past weekend, so I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you get to learn some stuff and try a cool different deck. But yeah, we'll go check out this gameplay. All right, so we get the coin flip. It is heads, I win, so I choose to go first, and we're just gonna set up. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some mulligans here. It's this Lugia deck is a little interesting to play. Yeah, my opponent gets a mulligan, they take a mulligan. I get to actually draw a card. I almost messed up. You do have to put your prizes before you draw your mulligan cards, so almost messed that up, and we'll go ahead and get that sorted. So luckily, I have an alright hand, and going first with Lugia there, especially after Orlando, there's been a lot of discussion on, do you want to go first with Lugia? What's the plan? And for me personally, I am most comfortable going first with Lugia. I would imagine most Lugia players are, but there are some individuals like Tord and like some of the other top Lugia players who will tell you that going second isn't really that bad. So go watch the gameplay from Orlando. Watch individuals like Tord who played Lugia to pretty good success. And I do want to make special note that Frosted Caribou, Shelby Boo, she did an interview with Tord after one of his games on stream. And he said some really, really important and useful advice for deck building and just preparing for tournaments in general. So please go check that out. It was a wonderful interview. Fist bump means the game is underway. My opponent starts with the Regi, so immediately we know we're playing against Regis. Okay, we get the Evolution Incense to go ahead, and I wish I put my deck under the camera a little bit while I search, but we're going to be finding an Archeops. So now we're going to be able to start using some cards like Ultra Ball that I'm going to put into play in just a second, if I ever actually get there. My opponent kind enough to mark how many cards are in his hand, so that's what the die on my opponent's hand is for, to let them know that there are 6 cards in the hand, so I don't have to ask for it. Something that you don't necessarily have to do, but I go ahead and Ultra Ball away an Archeops and a Quick Ball, and I think I'm just going to grab another Archeops. Yep, there it is, and you can see my opponent wants to see exactly what I'm getting and discarding, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very common. So now I go ahead and get rid of that other Archeops with the Quick Ball, so I can go ahead and start getting some Pokemon into play. There is a very big possibility for something like Regis to go ahead and just dunk on that Lugia. So Lugia being weak to Lightning, my deck does not run Dunsparce, so that the Regieleki can be quite a problem as my opponent pops off and gets a really good turn 2, or their turn 1. They can attack, knock out this Lugia, so I have to be very, very careful, and I do get the Urshifu, and I go for the Urshifu because I want something that's not weak to Lightning, and there is no real way for the Regi deck to knock out this Urshifu in one hit. So I do have, I think, a Lugia in hand that I elect to bench. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. You play so many games, and I just get the double turbo energy. And yeah, there's the second Lugia, and I just pass. Okay, thank God. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I got that right. So attaching the double turbo to the active is a little risky if they go ahead and knock out the Lugia with the Regieleki. they do need a few pieces to do it. They need to get a couple of energies into the discard, and 3, and they have to be lightning energies, at least 2 of them, and they have to get that Regieleki into the active, and they have to get a Choice Belt, and they have to get all 5 Regis, or the other 5 Regis, into play on this turn to take that one shot on the Lugia. So it's not exactly likely that they'll do it, especially when they need extra stuff like the Choice Belt and to retreat the active. It is doable, but it's not as likely. So I've kind of felt a little confident to be able to attach to the active, but I could definitely see some arguments being made for attaching to the bench there. So something to consider. I like going into the active, but okay, whatever. So my opponent now has 2 Regis in play. They go ahead and get the Regidrago, they get the Regieleki, and you're going to see the difference between the couple of Regielekis. There's a Registeel, and they're, they're halfway there, really. They do attach an energy to the Regice. Try to throw that path into play to stop me from using the Summoning Star ability on Lugia VSTAR. I really wanted to make sure that I got 2 Archeops into the discard as quickly as possible, because I don't know if they're going to try to Marnie path me, whatever, so I just gotta hope that they didn't Marnie. They don't Marnie, which is great, so I can immediately bounce their stadium. That's one thing, I do not play that. I had that stadium, I had Tower of Darkness in my hand last turn, but I elected to not play it until I needed it, and that's exactly, that was exactly what happened, right? My opponent played Path. If I did not have a Stadium bump, I might have been in trouble. Now, I do run Pumpkaboo to get rid of things like Temple of Sinnoh later in the game, get rid of early paths, things like that. I could search for it, so I don't remember if I had a Quick Ball or anything in my hand at the moment to find the Pumpkaboo. No, I could have attached the Capture. No, actually, couldn't attach the Capture Energy because Pumpkaboo needs to come from the hand, not from the deck. So, find an Evolution Incense off the research, which is really cool. We go ahead and get get the Lugia VSTAR into play. My opponent kindly gives me the Archeops from the discard, and now I get them onto the bench. Flips over my VSTAR marker for me while I get situated. Very nice person, my opponent. I do enjoy playing against them. I don't enjoy playing against Regis, though. Regis can be kind of annoying because it's a single prize deck. They have good opportunities to take some big one-shots on the Lugias, and it's just kind of annoying, right? I'd also be very careful about evolving my Urshifu into the VMAX, because Regigigas with a Choice Belt can knock out a VMAX. There's just a lot of stuff that can happen. So here I go ahead and use Primal Turbo, just get one more energy onto that Lugia VSTAR, and then I go ahead and Primal Turbo onto the Urshifu. Again, I don't want to give too many. I should have tilted a little bit more. It's just it's always a little hard to know how far to tilt, like what my opponent can see and what they can't see, but I'm working on it, I promise. I have, at this point in the video, I realized, I should be showing my deck under the camera, but, anyway, I don't want to attack with too many lightning weak Pokemon, so I just say, you know what, just trying to get some energy counts, try to figure it all out, map it, and then I get 2 single strike energies onto my Urshifu, just get it ready to attack next turn. But yeah, evolving into the single strike Urshifu VMAX can be kind of problematic, but we just take a KO with the Lugia VSTAR here. 220 damage is enough to knock out all of their Pokemon. I would have really liked to get another Lugia VSTAR into play, by the way, to evolve that benched Lugia V. It's going to be a little bit harder for them to knock out 2 Lugia V-Stars, especially as I constantly attack and offer up things like single prize Pokemon, offer up the Urshifu, things like that, but whatever. That does come into play later. That is something to keep in mind. Now they go ahead and bump my tower, which I don't really care at this point too much about the path, but I do want to get rid of it. I do have Lumineon in this deck, so, and we are going to make a Lumineon play later, but for now, don't really care too much about the path. What I do care about is the consistency options that Tower of Darkness gives me. I can discard Urn of Vitality, Single Strike Energy, Single Strike Urshifu, whatever, to draw an extra 2 cards. So losing it like that matters, but losing the ability aspect of my Pokemon V, with my Roblox Pokemon, not really something I care about too much. So here my opponent starts to just get a bunch of Reggies. You can see one Registeel in a discard, and we'll bring that up later, and they have one on the bench. I seriously doubt they play 3. Who in their right mind would ever play 3 Registeels? And in fact, there's actually a lot of discussion about cutting to 1 Registeel, because it's the least likely Reggie to ever be used and played. So why would they? Who's bossing up and knocking out a Registeel? Now, some people, knowing that information, may go ahead and do it, and it is something I considered doing in this game until I saw the second one come down, and now I said, okay, well, at this point, there's no real reason for me to ever knock out that Registeel. So now they have 2 Regielekis in play. They failed to find another Reg Ice, which is kind of good. They don't get an early attack off, and they offer up just a single prize Regieleki. There are 2 different Regielekis. One of them has 120 health, one of them has 130 health. And that difference in HP does matter. I was really considering running a Galarian Zigzagoon so I can ping damage onto something and knock it out with Lumineon, which is a play I'm going to make. I don't remember if I make it right here. I think I do. But I want to knock out the benched Regieleki. They have different attacks, and I don't remember exactly which one does what. I think the benched one has 120 health, and it can knock out my my Lugias in one hit. But the active one, it only does 120 to a bench Pokemon. It's like a snipe. So that one's not really as impactful in this matchup. Yeah, it can be nice to like finish off a Pokemon I retreat to the bench with, or soften something up for later. Maybe put some pressure onto an Archeops, whatever. But the one on the bench I can get a KO with the Lugia, which is with the Lumineon, which is really nice. And I think that's what I do here. So path is in play, so I have to sequence this properly. If you do a step out of order, the whole play kind of falls apart. So I do Primal Turbo onto the Urshifu, get another single strike energy on there. Why do I do that? Well, I have an Urn of Vitality in hand, so I can manually retreat some energies, use the Urn of Vitality to put them back into the deck, and now I don't really lose them. I get to kind of retreat for free. I already had 2 on the Urshifu though, so I do think using Primal Turbo 1 to get a third one on there was a little bit of a mistake, but it is what it is. So what I do is I play a quick ball. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get the Lumineon. So there's the Lumineon. I cannot put it into play until I bounce their path with a second Tower of Darkness that I did have in hand. Now I can go ahead, use Lumineon, get the boss. Okay, so we're kind of making this happen. Now, I don't want to evolve the Urshifu V into the VMAX. That Regigigas is very, very scary. So I figure, even though Beatdown with 3 single strike energies is enough to knock out anything that they have on the bench, or anything they have in their deck at all, it's not really worth taking the risk of losing 3 prizes. And I'm not even going to attack with Urshifu this turn. I am going to go with that Lumineon play. You saw I got the boss. The only Pokemon that has 120 health is that benched Regieleki, and lo and behold, Lumineon's attack does 120 damage. You can see why I really want to target down that Regieleki. I'm very fortunate that I do find an energy off of the Tower of Darkness. I discard the Urshifu VMAX, find an energy, so I can just go ahead, attach an Aurora energy to the Lumineon. Get rid of, I'm going to get rid of a Serena. It's a little hard to see. But I get rid of a Serena. I can use Primal Turbo number 2 to get 2 more energies. It does not matter what energies I choose. I just can't get a double Turbo energy. Why? Because then double Turbo energy brings my attack from 120 to 100 damage, and that's not enough to knock out the Regieleki. So I go ahead, discard the 2 single strike energies to promote the Lumineon. I use Urn of Vitality to put them back into the deck. I'm going to shuffle in just a second, because when I boss up that benched Regieleki, and I use Aqua Return, it shuffles the Lumineon and the energies back into the deck, which is really, really good. That means I preserve my Lumineon, so it's not an easy 2-prize knockout. I preserve the energy so they don't go to the discard, and I can use things like Radiant Charizard, I think it might be in this deck, later in the game if I need. So got some options, and just, like I said, anytime you can conserve resources and energies in a Lugia deck is really, really important. So I just got 5 energies back into the deck with a free retreat, with a free attack, with a free KO. Really, really a pretty solid turn there for me. So my opponent goes, there's the Choice Belt onto the Regigigas, which is exactly what I did not want to see. Very, very afraid of the Gigaton break on that Gigas. They go ahead, discard some research, discard the Serena and the Aurora energy with the research. And they're going to find their last Regi Pokemon. They're going to get that Regice. They can just attach a Twin Energy for turn. That Gigaton break, man, if I evolved into that VMAX, I would have lost this game. I absolutely would have lost this game because I never get a chance if I evolve. And that's a 3 prize VMAX Pokemon. Gigaton break does 330 damage. Knocks out my Urshifu. They take 3 prizes. And then I never even get to attack with the Urshifu. So I lose that, that Pokemon that's no longer weak to electric. I lose that. I really, really need that so they don't just go ahead and attach that Choice Belt to a Regieleki and knock out my my Lugias here. So they got all the Regis in play. I apologize for the glare on the left side, or on the bottom. It's a little harsh, especially on my opponent's side. That must have been right underneath the light. But they hit for a big 180, and that math is going to matter. That Choice Belt is a big deal. So 180 damage onto my Urshifu. I don't really have too much to do. I'm just going to go ahead and Primal Turbo and get some energies onto the Urshifu. Attack is probably going to go down my opponent's next turn. I'm probably going to lose that Urshifu. Now, the reason I decide to attack with it instead of running to the bench is because, well, it's going to get knocked out. You might as well get the most usage out of your Pokemon. Right? If just retreating and let it go to the bench and never using it just makes it kind of useless. So I want to try to get some purpose out of this Urshifu. I hit for a lot of damage with Impact Blow. It's going to do 240 damage. I benched another Urshifu with the Single Strike energy already on it. Yeah, Impact Blow is going to be doing 240 and it's weak to fighting. So I hit actually for a 480 damage on that single prize Pokemon. Gift Energy is taking effect, which is why they're drawing some extra cards, if you were wondering. They get to draw those cards before they choose the Pokemon they want to promote. There's the Regieleki. My opponent is going to make such a beautiful play, and it's actually really, really scary for me. It's such a dangerous play, and it puts me in a real predicament. Now, at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm expecting the Urshifu to go down, and then I would just either, depending on what they attack with, if this is the 130 health, Regieleki, maybe I just go ahead and use like an Archeops with a powerful Colorless energy to go ahead and knock out their Regi. That's a very easy thing to do, get a powerful Colorless. Speedwing does 120, I can bump it up to 140, even 160 with 2 powerful Colorless energies to knock out any of their Regis with a single prize Pokemon. So really, really nice. So we'll go ahead and this is where I mentioned before, I really wanted to evolve the benched Lugia. Because if I evolve that benched Lugia, this play does not happen. So my opponent has the Regieleki that does 120 damage. They're going to go ahead and use the Ancient Wisdom ability, power up this Regieleki, so now it's able to attack. So they got the 2 lightning energies and a gift energy on there. But if I evolve, I have 280 health. That 120 not only does 240, not enough for a KO unless they have the Choice Belt. They play the Serena, they bring up the Lugia. It only has 220 health, so now it gets hit for 240, taking the KO, and they put 40 damage onto my benched Urshifus, both of them. Well, 180 from the Gigaton break, plus 40 is 220, enough to knock out my Urshifu. So they take 4 massive prizes in a single turn, and I'm feeling very, very scared, because now all they need is another Regigigas attack onto my Urshifu. Now, granted, they do have to have the Choice Belt and the Boss or Serena, but it's pretty easy to do, right? I am going to take a knockout on this Regieleki. I can use anything to do it between the Archeops, the Urshifu, and the Lugia to take a KO. But still really, really scary. They just went down from 6 prizes to 2 in just a single turn. And it's all because I could not find my other Lugia V-Star. I do elect to promote the Archeops. I say, you know what? Just kind of have to use a single prize attacker. Can't really afford to give up something that's weak to lightning. Or there's Urshifu that can just get knocked out from a Gigaton break with a Choice Belt. So okay, I kind of have to take my chances. If they have the boss, they're going to have the boss. Really not much I can do about it. So we go ahead, Primal Turbo. We have to be very, very careful with our energies. I don't want to attach too many of the wrong energies. There's only a finite amount, and with 4 of the energies being Single Strike, those are dedicated to Single Strike Pokemon. So I can't even use 4 of my 14 energies onto my Pokemon that are not Urshifu or Umbreon. So something to consider. So I go ahead and go with a double turbo and a powerful Colossus. This Regieleki has 120 health, I believe. So the 120 gets taken down to 100 from double turbo, but brought back to 120 with the powerful Colossus energy. So that kind of combo cancels each other out, and I'm still able to go ahead and use Speed Wing to take a KO on this Regieleki. I don't think there's really anything else I do. I play the Urn just to get some energies back into the deck, whatever. And then I'm pretty sure I just immediately Primal Turbo number 2 for them, just to get them out of the deck. Again, I want to use the Urn before my opponent Marnie's or Roxanne's or whatever, so that at least I have an option to attack. And if one of these Archeops go down, I don't want to be relying on just one. I want to use both while I have them. So trying to make the absolute most of my Pokemon here. So we just go ahead, we get those energies, my opponent goes cuts, and I just Speed Wing, take a KO. And that's really all I can do. Still have 2 prizes. My opponent's going to have 2. They're going to be able to likely take a KO on this Archeops here. You can see they promote the Regidrago. They never really get a chance to use Regidrago's ability because of the gift energy always taking effect, and they draw until they have like 7 cards in their hand. The Regidrago Dragon Horde lets you draw into your 4. So if you're wondering like why are they never using Dragon Horde, it's because they always have more than 4 cards in their hand. So are there times where they have like 2 or 3 cards in their hand and they maybe could have promoted the Regidrago? I mean, the times they had 2 or 3 cards in their hand, they probably couldn't promote the Drago anyway. So, then they play something like Research and they go up to 7 cards, and it's like, well, I can't promote the Drago because the Dragon Horde doesn't do anything at that point. And even if I wanted to promote it after I play some cards like Quick Balls and discard some stuff and whatever, now I can't waste those resources to put Drago into the active to draw a couple cards to just hope I find a way to get the Drago now out of the active. So you don't always have to use Regidrago's Dragon Horde. He goes ahead, gets the Regidrago, gets like a second Regidrago, which is actually a pretty good pickup considering that you can see my opponent's thinking ahead. They're planning a turn ahead by getting that Regidrago. They're expecting the active to get KO'd, so now they can go ahead, get the second Regidrago ready, and then just go ahead and use the Ancient Wisdom attack right away. They don't need to worry about trying to find it. It's already in hand. Speaking of Ancient Wisdom, they use it. They get the 2 Aurora energies to meet the Fire and Grass requirements for Regidrago. Again, another gift energy. Kind of annoying. And they just go ahead and hit for 160 and take the KO down to just their last prize. So I offer up the Lugia because, again, I kind of figured they need the Choice Belt in order to take a KO. I've already seen one. So it's just a matter of, can they find the other one? Can they find the Regidrago? Because I know they have one in hand, but I'm going to Marnie. I get rid of the Choice Belt. I'm never going to use it in the Regi matchup. And I just Marnie. I say, okay. They have kind of a big hand going. I know they just got their Drago. They've used quite a bit of resources like Quick Balls and stuff. I'm going to try to take a chance and knock out this Drago and just hope that they're not able to find a way to get it. So one of the downsides of having to play Quick Ball and like show that information, they told me to play Marnie, by showing me that Regidrago, letting me know, hey, I'm planning for next turn, and I'm gonna win, most likely, if you don't do something. So I just go ahead, take the KO onto the Drago, they use the gift, and the gift energy is really, really scary here because they could have just easily drawn into a Quick Ball or something. But they have no real way of like trying to like dump their hand and draw more cards with Drago because they don't have the Drago, which is very, of all the Pokemon they should have attacked with, I think Drago might not have been the best bet. They might have actually wanted to use the Registeel there, because then they could dump some cards, use Dragon Horde, and then attack. But if they attack with Dragon Horde, it's not enough to knock out the Lugia. It's a really, really tight situation for my opponent. So they go ahead and Ordinary Rod, try to just shuffle up the deck and hope they can find something, but I don't know if they have a way to draw. Could I have used Tempest Dive to get rid of that Path to the Peak? Absolutely. I didn't even think about it. There's really no... I don't really have a need at this point. The Lugia is going to be able to knock out anything they put into the active, so it's not like I need a like Quick Ball for a Lumineon or something. The Heavy Ball, just to see, is that last Pokemon a Drago, even though we know it's not going to be. We know that there's one in the discard and, well, I guess now two in the deck since they used the Ordinary Rod. But they don't have a way to draw, so they are just kind of stuck. They're looking, maybe you can see they flash the boss's orders, just kind of looking at the retreat cost of something like Urshifu, but it does have 3 energies. Even if they do put it into the active, it's still able to attack, take the KO. My opponent concedes. Very well played. So there you go. That single strike Urshifu with Lugia, maybe a thing. I don't really know, but I hope you enjoyed. Found it informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all kind of stuff, and let me know what decks you want to see me play at locals next, or if you want to see a particular deck covered on the channel, I'm happy to do it. But that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.